Anyway, let me kick into this week's topic. First of all, my name's Janice Sutherland. I'm a leadership development expert specialising in women's leadership development. And my topic this month, I decide to have a topic each month focused on leadership development for women. I see a lot of podcasts out there about creating your own business, being an entrepreneur, which is all well and good because I'm in that realm now. However, I don't think there's enough support for talking about helping women get ahead in the careers they actually have, because we're not all fortunate to have be an entrepreneur, and neither do we want to be. And then sometimes somebody's got to work for somebody. So I'm going to touch on topics all about your career development, how you can have a successful career, things that can help you have a successful career. I have had a successful career, being a CEO for a multinational company in the Caribbean, and I've been a senior exec within the UK in a number of companies. So this month's topic, I was talking all about, being at the beginning of the year, I was talking about all the ways that you can support yourself, the strategies you can do to enhance your career as you go along. And now you've gone back to work, you've created your plan, so you know what you want to focus on, you've created your plan, you've got your plan of action. If you haven't done that, flick back to last week's video, which talks about goal setting and planning. But once you get to work, and or should I say, in that plan, you probably had something about, getting ahead of work, what you could do at work, the actions you could take in your current employ to help you get ahead. But one of the things I often find women is that as women, we don't like to ask. We wait believing things are a meritocracy. We believe it'll happen to us. It'll happen for us. If we just wait, somebody will recognize how good we are, and people pick it up. People will know. And unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. So you really have to take ownership of your career and how you get ahead. So this week I'm going to touch on a few ways you can actually do that. I'm just setting myself up properly here because I'm a little low at the shop this morning. So you wouldn't think I prepared, but I did. So we're going to talk about some of the things that you could do, how you can take ownership of your career at work, so you don't have to wait for someone to come along to you and say, look, this is what you can do. It's not and I want people to understand, women to understand it, it's not just a one-way street. It's not about you waiting for someone, as I said, to come along and tell you that you're brilliant, you can do this, I'm going to give you this opportunity, this is how you can get ahead. You don't have to wait for your employer to come along and give you these opportunities. You actually can take control of that. And how much more rewarding is it if you take charge of your own personal development, instead of waiting for someone to come along and tell you when you can have this development. So the couple of tips I'm going to give you this week. The first thing is one-to-ones. Now we should all be having regular meetings, one-to-ones with our immediate boss. And if you don't, request one to sit down and discuss your goals and talk about the level of support you want, what you're looking for. Make it a regular meeting. As a manager, I always held regular meetings, regular one-to-ones with my team members, not every week, but at least once a month, just to find out how they're getting along, what's happening, where the blocks are for them, and how I can support them. Yes, for work, but also for their own personal development as well. And when you go to those meetings, be prepared. Clearly outline what you want for the next 6 to 12 months, where your aspirations are, and the support you're requesting. But it's not just all about you. By actually outlining the development you're going to have and where it'll put you, you can actually discuss how you can better support the business by being better developed. So make sure it's a two-way conversation, not just your boss having talked to you. Make sure you are involved in that conversation. You are also prepared to have that conversation too. The second thing is I've got here, there's no such thing as a free lunch, and we would all love to have time to have personal development, take courses and stuff. But do you know you could actually use your own lunch break? How can you utilize your lunch break to actually utilize that time to study, to own your career development, to learn a new skill? Now, things like podcasts, reading, listening to videos like this, or tuning into videos like this, taking online courses, they're all there. Take 1 hour, even if it's just 1 hour a week, to actually focus on your own personal development and helping yourself get ahead. The next thing, I'm all tongue twisted this morning. Your next thing is, we talked about your goals. We talked about you having goals, and stick to your plan. That's the thing. You sat down. You created these goals. You created these plans. Now, granted, 6 to 12 months is pretty wide, which is why I usually break that down into smaller plans, smaller goals. So I have a 90-day personal development plan, because by having a 6 to 12 month plan, it is actually quite daunting, and you don't actually get the impetus. You don't actually keep the impetus you need to actually keep going. So break it down into the goals you can focus on, maybe once a quarter, what you can do, and what's your reward. And within that plan, create the goals that you want to focus on for the next 90 days. These are things you can also discuss with your manager one-to-ones. And you can also, again, look at the ways you can get support in making sure your actions are done. You can also have your managers and accountability partners. We talked about that last week, but having someone accountable, holding you accountable for achieving your goals. And you can actually also use it in team meetings. Maybe you can make a kind of a great interactive team building, where you all share your goals and you all hold each other accountable. And maybe your team briefs, your team meetings, you share how you're getting along with your goals. The other challenge I also see is that everybody, or a lot of people, a lot of women, are all waiting for this formal study. They keep telling themselves they're not ready, they need to have this course, I need to go to this conference, I need to do this program. And depending on the size of your business, and even large businesses, they don't always have the budget, and they don't want to spend the budget on your personal development, especially sometimes if your goals, your future development doesn't always sync with the goals of the organization, because you could be looking to expand your career in a totally different field. So no one's really going to spend money on you, realistically, on a program or a course that won't aid their business. But you don't have to wait for someone to pay for your course. You don't have to wait for someone to give you the funds or the finance. And it doesn't have to be something that you pay for. There are lots of free resources. If you look around, there are a lot of free resources online. There's Coursera has free courses. There's Udemy. You'll be surprised at what you can find on good old YouTube if you just put a search in. You can listen to podcasts. You can read ebooks. You can listen to audiobooks. You don't have to have a budget. And even freer is just talking to somebody else in a different role, or in the industry that you want to go into. So just by having that conversation with somebody, you can learn what the skills are required. So these are all new and innovative ways that you can use to push your career forward. The next thing I want to talk about is actually finding a mentor, especially if your goal is to become a leader. If your goal is to become a leader, to move ahead, to take more seniority, I'll be honest with you, the reality is often very different to what we think being a leader would be. Good leaders, like me, make it look so easy. But no, seriously, it can almost look very easy from the outside. You're looking at your boss, and sometimes you're even critiquing your boss, thinking you could do a much better job than they're doing right now. But the reality, again, the reality versus the fantasy per se, is not always, doesn't always line up. So it's a great idea to get to link up with somebody as a mentor who can really give you warts and all what being a leader is all about, what that job you want to go into is all about, How did they get ahead? What did they do? What do they see in you? Or are the areas that you made to develop, depending if they were. And she's back. Video dropped out. I had some Wi-Fi connectivity challenges, and I'd almost finished. I was touching on mentors, finding yourself a mentor. And as I said, the reality versus fantasy, if you're becoming a leader, can be often very different. So find yourself somebody who can have a really frank discussion with about what it was like to be a leader, maybe in your industry, maybe in your organization, and also the areas that they feel you can work on in order to improve your chances at pushing your career forward in the leadership realm. But don't just go ahead and have that meeting. Make sure you go prepared, especially if it's just a one-off meeting you're going to have the opportunity to have, because ideally you'd like it to be an ongoing relationship. Totally appreciate that. But sometimes people just don't have the time for that. Maybe they already mentor a couple of people. Maybe they travel a lot. But whatever the reason, if you have just one opportunity, then make sure you go armed with the questions that you really want to ask about how you can further your career and get ahead. Buy them a coffee, take them off site, sit down, have a chat, and just really take the opportunity to milk them for all their knowledge, for a better word. Ideally, as I said, having a mentor should be an ongoing relationship. And if you can, agree to meet maybe once a month. If not meeting, have a phone call. Just someone who's there in your corner that you can probably shoot the breeze with to talk about the challenges you're facing in your career. The next thing I talked about having the one-to-ones, about having your regular one-to-ones, your boss, your reviews. Make the most of those reviews. Make the most of those meetings when you go ahead to them. It's not just about them talking at you or your manager talking about you. It is supposed to be a two-way conversation, and it is about having quality time. Now, I'm as guilty as some. Sometimes I used to get really caught up doing my one-to-ones, having those conversations. I'd be distracted. I'd be taking phone calls. I'd be answering emails, until I made a conscientious effort to say, well, hang on a minute. How would I feel if I was in that person's shoes? So I made a conscientious effort to mute emails, put the phone on silent, tell people that I'm having a meeting one-to-one, and really be engaged with those, with the people I'm having the one-to-one too. And the same goes for you. So be engaged in your one-to-one. Don't just go along because, oh gosh, it's just another meeting. It's just another one-to-one. Go engage. This is your quality time. This is time for you to get across the points you want, to look at the ways that you want to get ahead, to ask the questions you want to ask. And as I said, if that manager is sometimes normally distracted, look at ways you can actually take them out of the environment they get mostly distracted at. So if they get distracted at their desk, the most do the one-to-ones at their desk, see if you can nip down to the coffee shop, the canteen, somewhere that the traffic or the interruptions will be less. But you've got to find ways to make it both beneficial for both of you to be engaged. And it's also an opportunity for you to, when I say be engaged, you to be engaged, to listen to what is being said. Sometimes you have to pick up the nuances of what's being said, maybe to rephrase how you ask a particular question for support. Look at the body language that's being used. It's not just a case of sit down there and to be talked at. The last point I want to pick up is about peer partnerships, and that's about talking with your colleagues, having conversation with your colleagues, maybe identify somebody in different departments that has the job that you would like to do or you have an interest in. So you could speak to their manager or speak to your manager about having an opportunity to shadow that person for the day or for a couple of hours, or just to have a conversation about the job, or maybe even doing a job swap with them for a day so you can see what their role is like, maybe secondment. But this is about having that conversation with your colleagues. Maybe sit down with them in the role you're doing and how did they get ahead. Very much like a mentor, but maybe even more informal. So those are my top tips as to how you can own your own career development at work. As I said, it is not a meritocracy. Nobody owes you anything. And it's a real shame when you're waiting there for someone to help develop you, when you can have the control over what your development looks like. So for anybody just tuned in to part 2 of the video, there is a part 1. I had a couple of technical difficulties. You can listen into. If you want more information on how you can develop your strategies to get ahead in your career, I have a free ebook, 13 Strategies to Elevate Your Career. You can get on my website, janicesutherland.com. You can listen to my podcast, This Woman Can, on iTunes and all major podcast platforms. You can send me a question on here on Instagram or Facebook. Ask Janice about a question or a topic you want to tackle each week. And then finally, if you are in Antigua, I have a treat for you. I'll be holding my Level Up workshop, my mindset retreat on the 9th of February. This is where you will get the chance to spend the day with me and other like-minded women, just to really sit down and really focus on a challenge you've been facing in your career or at life, and look at what has been blocking you, look at the ways you can overcome them, look at what's been limiting your beliefs in yourself and your confidence, and get a plan to get ahead and level up. So that's the 9th of February with me. Contact me, janicesutherland.com, info@janicesutherland.com. There'll be more information coming out quite shortly. I am really, really excited about this and looking forward to spend the day with you. So without further ado, that's me for this week. Remember to tune in next week at 9:30 on Friday, the regular spot. If you have any friends you think should be tuning in, by all means tell them too. And don't forget, if I can, you can, this woman can. Until next week, take care.